Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Pretty Little Liars, Season 5, Episode 23, The Melody Lingers On. I'm your host, Dom. With me, my co-host, Heather.
Hey.
Oh, hi.
I was like about to wave, and then my eyeball itched, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Melody Lingers On. So what'd you think about that haunting melody?
I love it. Like, I don't know, just all these episodes lately, I haven't had anything bad to say.
Oh, they've been so good. This whole thing, I was on the edge of my seat.
They have been. I mean, there was a couple of times where there was screaming at the TV.
I could see that. Obviously, the case wasn't resolved in this one episode. I think we were a little foolish to think it was going to happen. But we do still have 2 episodes left. We have next week looks like the conclusion to the trial.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing.
And then I believe the finale is going to be the aftermath. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah. Anyway, the episode starts off with Allison and even Hannah kind of getting briefed on what's going on with the trial. And we see her father, Allison's father, in there with her. And we see Hannah's mom and Ted. Surprisingly, Ted was in there with Hannah. So Ashley's kind of convinced that Allison's going to end up framing Hannah.
Yeah, she's like, Hannah is trying to convince her mom that somebody is framing her and Allison and the other girls.
Why do you think it's so hard for her to believe?
I think everybody just really wants Allison to be the bad guy because she has lied so much and they know it.
Yeah. I could see that. I mean,
if it's Allison, it's easier because she's already been caught.
That is true.
It is true. They wouldn't have to look or wait or have them go through anything more. Everything would finally be over. These years and years of this torture would be over for Rosewood if it ended up being Allison.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Spencer was kind of going through the personal ads and stuff that they found, and they found out that the phone number for Varjak that she received last week in the receipt matches all the personal ads for Vivian Darkbloom.
Right. All of the personal ads that they found in Allie's room.
Right. So, I mean, I don't understand how that's going to exonerate either of them at this point. They keep insisting that it's going to.
That just pretty much told us that Allie, at some point in time, had some kind of communication with who we possibly believe could be A.
Yeah, and she's convinced it was Mona. And that the phone call stopped as soon as Mona was dead. And the girls are like, no, that's A. They're wanting you to believe that.
Right. That's another play from A saying that, making it look like it was Mona when it wasn't,
So which one do you think it is? Do you think it was Mona or do you think it was A?
I think it was A. I think it was A because Mona, once she got caught, was very cocky about the things she did. She was very open.
Yep.
She bragged about it even.
Right.
Because as was said later on in the episode, she was viciously competitive. She loved to win, and it always had to be her doing. It was always her that won. So I think if it had been her, we would have known.
Yeah, I could see that. We had, what was it? Spencer tried to meet up with Jason. To have a little chat with him, and Jason's like, no, the father like starts screaming.
Yeah.
And they go into, like, this whole thing, stay on your side of the yard, you know?
Yeah. You know, your house has the fence and the gate. Yeah, stay on that side.
Yeah.
Stay behind that, you know. I mean, they're blaming Spencer for this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my cat decided wanted to be part of the podcast.
Giddy.
But then later on, when we see the trial,
Mm-hmm.
and we see the witnesses get thrown around, they get switched around, and then Jason gets thrown up unexpectedly, and all of a sudden this comes out about Jason and Miss Marin.
Yeah.
I mean, oof, brutal.
Ashley and Jason. It was. I was shocked that came up. I mean, they threw that shit right under the bus.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, and it had some major repercussions later on. We Ashley broke it off with Ted because of it. Ted was avoiding phone calls.
Yeah.
Because he said the women's congregation.
Yeah. And don't forget Jason's father kicked him out of the house.
Yeah. I mean, like, it, you know, and you know, I'm kind of trying to figure out where the prosecutor was going with this because, I mean, yeah, I get it. They're trying to say that Ashley seduced Jason into this, I'm going to just call it an affair, this fling or whatever, so she could talk him into standing up for Allie on stand because then that would clear her daughter. But nobody is looking at Jason and asking, you know, maybe he's just doing this because it's his sister.
Yeah.
You know, that's more plausible.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, why did you change your answer? You told the police this, but then now is it because of Ashley? Like, what?
Yeah, like just grasping for straws and just really...
it just seemed more of a way to get that whole thing out in the open than anything. And,
it was bad.
It was really, really bad.
It really was.
But we saw Emily and Arya had shown up to the trial.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer didn't because her mother forbade her.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell Allison noticed that right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Allison she had a big smile on her face when she saw the girls, and then she noticed Spencer wasn't there.
Yeah.
I mean, she had personally called Emily and asked Emily, hey, are you coming to my trial tomorrow?
Right.
And Emily tried to do her, I don't know, maybe.
Right, yeah.
And then Allie pulled that Allie moment on her, and she was like, don't worry, I'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was kind of awkward for them, too, because all of a sudden now the prosecutor is like, oh, everything she said is a lie, and she was never kidnapped, and the girls are just kind of like sitting there looking at each other like, what's happening?
Yep.
So.
Yeah,
the whole trial went to shit real fast.
It really did. He opened it up and was just like, it just exploded everything.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
because we start the episode off, oh, don't worry, you got the easy part. They have the hard part, trying to prove that you did it. And
you know, what did Allie's lawyer say? You just need to convince one to plead not guilty, and it'll ruin everything for them.
Yeah, well, she won't go to jail. You know, whatever. She won't
just
be charged.
Convince one.
Yeah. So, and you kind of saw Allison's like, okay, yeah, one. I could do one, and it's looking bad for her now.
But I mean, the moment that prosecutor started, he flat out said, you know, Mona knew the truth, had the power to expose Allie and stop everything she'd done. Because, I mean, he hit right on the money with those jurors. He was like, do you guys remember being in high school, walking down the halls and what it felt like to be picked on and be berated by... I mean, like, he laid it on thick.
He did. And I was like, ooh, this does not look good for Allie. If I was on that jury, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, we need more evidence, but at this point, I'd be thinking that, yeah, maybe she did do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
It's kind of rough. We had we had Arya meeting up with Andrew in school. Mm-hmm. You know, and he's still kind of flirtatious. Later on at the coffee shop, he gave her a kiss, and she was just, like, taken aback by it. Mm-hmm. Why? They kissed already. Like, why should she be surprised the second one's coming?
Right. Right, I mean, he's trying to get closer, and that there's a lot to that makes me kind of.
Yeah. And it seems like Andrew's starting to turn into that jealous boyfriend who's like going around watching her, make sure she's like okay, see what she's doing, if she's lying to him kind of thing. Like,
right, right.
He's
And
following
I
them
mean,
everywhere. He was outside Mona's house when they snuck in later in the episode.
he was, and that whole thing, because at school when they were talking early on in the episode, he basically pretty much said that he was happy Mona was dead.
Right, which
to Arya,
he later
which
retconned.
he really quickly was like, no, 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 I didn't mean that, And then we see him outside of Mona's house later when the girls are there. And, we can't help but to think, is he there? Is he there because, did he do the break-in? Or did he see the girls walk in and just not say anything? Or, if you want to go down the route of Arya's A, does he know what Arya's capable of because she's blackmailing him or has been or has in the past, and he's keeping a close eye on her? Or is he there doing something for A? Because he does make the perfect idiotic lackey.
He does. He does, and it's just he's very... why is it every time a character comes into the show that hasn't been around for a while, we're like, A, A, A. Everybody's A.
Yeah,
like,
and I mean, like, I don't think that Andrew is A.
Right.
If he has anything to do with the A scheme, he's just a lackey.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he still could have been the one that broke into the house.
Right.
Because it's not usually A's style to leave evidence behind like that.
Right.
So I feel like the break-in with the screwdriver, I feel like that was not A. Mm-hmm. And, yeah. But that begs to question, where's Mona's mother at this point?
Yeah, I noticed that too. Where is Miss Vanderwall? I mean, the girls, Emily and Arya, the first trial said that she'd been there. Mm-hmm. And that's when they'd gone to her house to talk to her, and she wasn't there, and nobody saw her again after that.
Right. I don't know. I don't have any clue where she could be right now. But it's like all the adults on the show do disappear. It's like they just go off and they're never around, ever.
Right.
Like, the parents only come around when it's necessary. Like, when was the last time we saw Arya's mother or father? Like, I don't even remember.
Forever ago.
And supposedly the father's living in the house.
Yeah, forever ago. I mean, we had that scene where Arya was scared of Mike right before Mike came clean about the Mona thing, and she ran in screaming for her dad, who was supposed to have come back that night, but we never saw him.
No, he wasn't even in the episode.
It's like Emily's parents.
Yeah. I mean, I understand with having such a large ensemble cast like that, it's kind of difficult to get everybody in, and...
Yeah.
But still, it's really awkward to me.
It is. I mean, but yeah, this episode was really everywhere with that.
Yeah. I mean, even another scene that was kind of awkward to me, this episode was Allie and Hannah in the laundry room. Mm-hmm. They totally, like, you could tell Hannah did not want to be in there.
That whole scene threw up so many red flags for me.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? They were there. They got stuck doing laundry duty together. We've seen Allie doing laundry duty before, so not surprising. And then Hannah called her out on the passport, knowing that she's been talking to A this entire time and not telling them. And that's when Allie finally came out and said the passport was fake and somebody had planted it in her room. But the ads were hers.
Right. Yeah, and then she started talking about Goodnight Light.
It's Goodnight Moon.
Goodnight Moon? Okay.
It's Goodnight Moon. I had to look it up because I thought it was Goodnight Light, but it is actually Goodnight Moon. And she said that when her mother died, she saw a tribute ad in the paper that said Goodnight Light. And something about a red balloon, which I don't know what that part was about.
Right. I mean, I'm sure it's part of the book.
Right. And then there was a phone number and which we found, as Spencer found, that is the same number that Emily found.
Mm-hmm.
And what really was weird about this was that Hannah knew this verbatim.
Yeah, she did. Like, it was fresh in her memory. I mean, I've heard of the book. I know my little cousins were obsessed with Goodnight Moon when they were younger, but I personally have never read it.
I haven't either.
So,
I mean, and
it's just weird that Hannah would know the entire thing verbatim, like,
right.
you know.
And and at the end of the episode, when she's talking to her mom, she makes the comment that she wants to be just like her, as well as knowing the best lullabies to tell her child.
Right.
Which is another big red flag, because that's twice she brought that up.
Yeah. Yep. Caleb goes to visit Hannah in jail.
Yeah.
I still think Caleb's dirty. He's involved somehow. He's got to be. He's got to be. It's just so, like, it's weird, because remember that whole thing when Ezra running off to, Ravenswood to have his lair and everything, and then Caleb's off in Ravenswood shortly after. It's just, I don't know, it's a little suspicious to me.
Right.
So.
It was very suspicious.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't like it. But what did we have there? We had Caleb went to see her, and she tried that whole run away, get away while you still can.
Right. It's kind of the speech that Caleb gave to Hannah. And Caleb's even being like, I wish I took her now. I wish we ran,
Yeah, he told that to Spencer later, I mean, Caleb, it's so hard with Caleb lately, because Caleb, he goes from not really having a lot to do to being like the center of all of this.
Right.
Like, let's see, what was it? I mean, he had a couple things in this episode. He had a burner phone.
Yeah. What color?
I don't remember.
Seemed like he had. No, I'm saying that was his.
Yeah.
Do you have a burner phone? He goes, what color? Seems like he had more than one. He had a bunch of burner phones. What is he doing with so many burner phones?
Yeah, exactly. And then he was the one who thought. Wasn't he the one who thought of, let's send a message to Varjak? Let's text Var. No, that was
Spencer. That was Spencer.
They texted.
Yeah, they texted the number.
Yeah.
And then later on,
signed it Holly.
Yeah, and signed it Holly, and then later on, Arya's phone rings.
Arya's phone, and Caleb snatched the phone.
Yeah, he got pretty nasty about it. We don't have time for this.
He did. He got very, very snarky about it. Snatched the phone, and that's when we heard the first type of. Well, that's when the first time we heard the French music.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy. It was really creepy, actually. But I don't know. That's when the girls go to Mona's house and they start like investigating there, and then Mona's windows open. They hear the record playing and they rush into the house. Start exploring Mona's room and supposedly find what Mona couldn't. I mean, what A couldn't find.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Like,
and
really that quickly? Like, you don't think A would have looked around? I don't know.
I'm really loving this because A is leaving like that letter. Like when they went in there, I mean, did you see the A plastered on the side of the
yeah.
like just they do that in every episode. There's an A somewhere, and that was the one this time. And it's hard to find them sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It is, because they do a really good job of hiding it, but it was right there this time.
Yeah.
That whole house thing was really freaking creepy for me, because, I mean, we watched the girls walk up to this door, they're knocking, and Spencer tries the doorknob.
Right.
And then when they walk off, they hear the music from the phone, and when they go back, Emily opens the door like it's been unlocked the entire time.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It was.
But then, like, Mona's room is torn apart. Like, we see the dolls, all their heads ripped off. But the desk, the nightstand, whatever, the bureau, like, it was immaculate. That's why I was like, really? Like, A wouldn't have, like, torn that apart, too? It's just, I don't know. It seemed really weird to me.
And Emily's the one that found the letter there. Finders keepers, losers weepers, and then something in a foreign language. I didn't really catch it, unfortunately.
Yep.
I mean, it's what else happened in there? Like
They found the message in the mirror.
They did find the message in the mirror, and that message, I think it took the internet about 2 hours to crack it.
Really?
Yeah.
So what happened?
So, from what we have seen, all three of those lines, Chandelier's Rituals, Sister Launched Lair, and A Ruler's List Chained, all three of those are an anagram.
Oh.
All three of them spell out two different names.
Okay.
One of them is Rachel S. De Laurentiis. Possibly, I mean, when you look at the flashback from the Christmas episode where Mona took Allie back when she was a little girl and she found the two dresses, the identical dresses and everything, that kind of makes sense. That kind of goes towards the twin theory for Allison. And then also at the trial, you could see Mindy and Cindy were there, the twins from school. So people are kind of cluing that into maybe it's an Allie twin. But the other thing that we saw was that there was the other name that anagrams out of that is Charles De Laurentiis. And that one, we know Kenneth and Jessica are daddy and mommy. And then there's Jason and Allie. But back, when was it? I don't know when it was. It was when Mona was in Radley. They had the list, the visitor list. And I remember saying something to you about it because they never mentioned it. It was just on that list. It said C. Kavanaugh.
Right, yeah, I definitely remember that.
And now we've got a C. De Laurentiis, and you and I have tossed around the idea of somehow connecting those three families. And so I was like, Charles De Laurentiis, and then there's C. Kavanaugh. Could this have something to do with that?
This could also be tied with the person Jason was dropping groceries off to or whatever he was doing that day.
Right. And now people are throwing in the idea of possible triplets somewhere, which I think we've mentioned it before.
Triplets would be interesting.
I think you mentioned triplets before. But yeah, so that's the whole thing with the anagrams. Those are anagrams that they have. Now, whether those are the actual names or not that they're trying to spell, I don't know, but that's just those are the two names that have come out.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at the list, I had no clue what the chandelier thing was, but when Sister's Lair is like Mona's twin. She launched another lair.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I heard that.
So.
But Sister Launched Lair, if it is the Rachel S. De Laurentiis, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because this could be a clue to A.
Yeah.
This Rachel S. De Laurentiis could be A. And who's to say Rachel S. De Laurentiis wasn't adopted out and renamed Sarah Harvey?
That's true, too. That is true.
Because De Laurentiis is a big name to have.
I mean, didn't the girls show Sarah Harvey's friends Allison's picture?
And they all agreed they looked a lot alike.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, but they looked alike, so it wasn't like, oh, that's your twin, like, because I've known quite a few twins, and I'm just like, I can't tell you guys apart. So it wasn't that identical kind of twin.
I have little brothers who are twins, and they are almost identical. Almost. You can tell the difference between them now that they're older.
Right.
But there are twins, like, I've seen twins who look completely different. It just depends on the kind of twin you are.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
So that's that.
And then when the girls left there, Andrew was outside, like we mentioned, super creepy. And leads me to wonder, what is Andrew just stalking Arya, or is he up to something else?
Right.
I'm willing to think he's stalking Arya at this moment.
I think he is.
But,
I think he is.
Yeah.
And then, yay, I'm so excited for what was left in the house, though.
What was that?
Boo Boo's ice cream.
Oh, yeah. The ice cream pick.
I am so excited for that because I mentioned that to you when we watched that episode that Emily put her hands all over this door that A just locked all this shit behind.
Yeah, so now...
And it's beer.
So
it's
now
here.
is Emily's handprints on this ice pick.
Well, there's also another thing that I read. And this one might be a bit of a stretch, but it's interesting. First Halloween episode. Arya was in the box, and she picked up a random pick.
Yeah.
A wooden pick, and stabbed somebody outside of the box with it. Could it be the same pick?
Maybe. You can't put anything past, but if Arya is A, which is the kind of the popular theory right now.
It is the very popular theory.
If Hannah's in jail and Allison's in jail, and now you have a house that was broken into with an ice pick that you know Emily was at. Emily's handprints were all over everything. Emily's handprints could very easily be on this ice pick. You saw it in the forensics lab. They're doing tests on it. They find Emily's fingerprints on it now. That puts Emily in jail. That leaves just Arya and Spencer. So,
I mean, we're clicking down the girls, and the way that they're kind of taking them out one by one kind of leads me to believe that in 2 weeks we're going to be left with one girl or two girls, and the other one's going to call the other one out.
It very well could be.
I would love to see it be Arya.
As much as Arya would be amazing, I still want it to be Hannah.
I do too. Like, Hannah and Arya are my two favorite ones, and I would love to see Hannah doing this from inside of jail. I mean, like, there are some serious red flags with Hannah still.
There are.
And she has Caleb.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, our biggest hint is from Bethany when she says that she has this way of manipulating people. People
she certainly
think that
does.
People think that Bethany was talking about Allie, but how do we not know that Bethany wasn't talking about A? And that A is a female. And we see Hannah and Arya manipulate people left and right.
She does. I mean, look at in the short time that she's been with Andrew. You know, Andrew caught her cheating on his test paper, and she's convinced him to run some errands for him,
right?
Involving Mike, you know, to drive her around.
Well, like, I don't remember if I said this last week or not. I mean, like, think about Arya for a second, though. When they did the whole Ezra was A thing, and they made it look like Ezra was keeping Arya close to be able to get to the girls, what if Arya was keeping Ezra close because he had so much information on Allie, and she wanted to keep a close eye on him? Yeah,
no, that's definitely a possibility. It's just...
What if it's just the other way around?
Yeah. It very well could be. It very well could be Arya just, like, inserting herself into everyone's lives at the key point.
Well, I don't know if you saw my message to you on Facebook, and I saw the preview last night for the finale. There is a single female voice that says "Welcome," "Welcome," which is the Icelandic word for welcome.
Right. We all know that in the first episode of the season, that's where Arya came back from.
Right.
So it could either be that, or it could be A, addressing Arya, knowing that she went there. So it goes either way.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's the only sound in the preview. So, I mean, right now, it really is starting to look like Arya.
Yeah. So, I don't know, where's Mike been these last couple episodes?
From what I have understood, he is out of town with his lacrosse team.
Okay, that would make sense.
That is what I'm being what I'm being led to believe. At least what they're saying in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe it. I mean, it's kind of a conventional time for him to go missing.
Yep. And then they have this, like, mysterious witness coming in next week. You have any clue who that could be?
The girls think it's Cyrus. The girls think it's Cyrus, but I don't think it is. I don't know. I know that they said whoever it is really about to throw this for a whole new loop.
Eddie Lamb.
I would love it, because you want to know something? I mentioned this the other day too when I was talking about Arya being A. I remembered that Eddie Lamb, right before he disappeared from the show, saw Arya when she was at Radley, asked her if he knew her, if she'd been there before, if they knew each other. She quickly said no and got flustered, and then he went missing. And Eddie apparently knew who A was.
Right.
And also, I mean, we still don't know what she whispered to Mona inside of the theater that one day.
That's true. That's true. And then don't forget the final scene that we had brought back one of our favorites, Allie's parrot.
I was so happy. I started flailing. I was like, "Oh my God, we're starting to bring back things we haven't seen for seasons."
I was waiting for the dog to, like,
the lacrosse stick.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to, honestly, like, he just changed the bird. Like, I thought he was gonna put a bowl down on the ground and feed the dog too.
Well, like, okay, hear me out here. So when Emily, at the end of the episode, also Emily listened to the whispers.
Oh yeah,
in the box, and I think it was the one right before the A one. Did the man's voice that said, the dog didn't run away, I just opened the gate. Did that not sound like Jason?
It did.
I was like, is that Jason? Like, I swear that was Jason saying that, and that he let the dog leave.
It did, and I was like, oh my God, like, because at first, when I first heard the dog thing, I was like, wait, is that Allie's dog? And then I was like, wait, that kind of sounds like Jason, so, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Looks like Heather froze. She disappeared. So I'm gonna read the synopsis, and hopefully that gets fixed. The synopsis for next week is called "I'm a Good Girl, I Am," and Allison's trial is coming to a close, and the outcome looks even more bleak when the prosecution calls a surprise witness that not only paints Allison in a bad light, but also the Pretty Little Liars and Mike. Desperate to find any evidence or witness to save their friends, Arya, Emily, and Spencer race to find someone or something that can prove Allie's innocence and put an end to this nightmare. Meanwhile, Mike becomes a target of A when he looks like he might be called to testify, and Ezra and Caleb have differing opinions on what he should do. I just read the synopsis.
Okay.
So, welcome back. If you're gone again. Yeah, so next episode looks really good. And there was actually even a... Huh?
Nothing. I'm getting mad because my connection's going in and out.
Oh. I did notice in the preview for next week at the end of the episode, there was a scene with Allison and Hannah. And there was like a scream or something, and it almost looked like Allison slammed Hannah's hand into the dryer, the washing machine.
I did see that.
I was like, oh God.
At first, it kind of looked like it.
Yeah.
Hannah's hand.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, it looks like your connection's getting worse and worse, so let's wrap this up. Heather, where can the people find you? Connexia?
Connection.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
At Connexia?
Yeah, know what's going on with my internet. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. You can find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM. You can also find us on Facebook, Gmail, G+, Twitter, MySpace, and right here on YouTube/ASOTV podcast for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows. Till next week, we got one more episode until the finale.
Yay!
See you guys later.
Bye.
What do you think the jury's gonna say? Innocent or guilty?
I think she's going to somehow manage to be innocent.
Oh, the look on her face. The look on her face.
I know.
I'm gonna go innocent as well.